Right, so now I'm going to attempt to explain anterior and lateral spinothalamic tracts. So, we're going to start with anterior. So the anterior spinothalamic tract. And, right, I'll explain how it works first. So, your signal comes in. Make sure I get this in the right thingamabob. So your signal comes in, bonk, right? Now, stuff happens now, okay? Here, synapse and decussation. I'm talking about desiccated coconuts. Decussation. Synapse immediately and decussation. So that's our first order neuron done already. First order neuron done already. So synapse, decussation. So anterior. So decussates and shoots its merry way, right, up. And we're going to do the same on a cervical. So information is coming in on yon cervical. Okay. Again, what immediately happens? Synapse. Boom. No messing around. Synapse. Decussation. Whoop. And then it goes up again, right? So they both, well, all of them, however many you have, come in, synapse immediately, decussate immediately. Then they head up through the spinal cord, through the medulla. Nothing happens in the medulla this time. And they make their merry way to the thalamus. So exactly the same thing happens in the thalamus. There is another synapse. And then, whoop, off to the somatosensory cortex. So, first order neuron comes in. Synapses, decussates, heads up, right through the medulla. Nothing happens in the medulla. Gets to the thalamus, the VPL, the ventroposterolateral part of the thalamus. Another synapse happens. So this one here is your second order neuron, right? Synapse, third order neuron to the, should write that in the correct colour, or all hell will break loose, to the somatosensory cortex. There we go. So, well, that's about it really. That one's fairly simple. What is the anterior tract all about? So, hang on, let me get my colours right, otherwise everything will go all Pete on. And let me just check my notes in case I've got it wrong. So, anterior tracts. What is the function? Crude touch. So I always think of this as anterior, so front, crude touch, punch in the stomach. A punch in your front. That is a crude touch. And how would we test this in clinic? We would test this in clinic with the blunt part of the Medipin. So you wouldn't beat them over the head with a baseball bat. but you would just touch them with the blunt part of the medipin. So that's your anterior spinothalamic tract. Do I need to add anything else in there? Let's have a little look. Let's just run through it just one more time for good measure, reading off my notes so I know it's right. So your signal comes in. Decussation occurs on the anterior aspect of the white matter. Okay, that's the important bit. So it takes the same path, but it does not decussate at the medulla. So comes in, synapses, decussates in the anterior white matter, ascends up to the thalamus, synapses again, third order neuron, whoosh to the somatosensory cortex. Now because these are coming in decussating immediately, right? How are they adding? How are they coming? How are the signals joining? So this is the first one. This is the second one. The signals are joining medially. So the signals join medially. Right, actually, while we're at it, we might as well do lateral in the same video, because it is very similar. If only I could... hang on. Right, so lateral spinothalamic tract. Now I've got my paper all sorted out. So your signal comes in. So lateral, this actually enters via the dorsal part. Don't panic, don't panic. And what happens here? So exactly the same. Okay, exactly the same as anterior. Boom, synapse and decussation. So remembering this is lateral. So this shimmies on over to the lateral side. Yeah, and then comes into the lateral side of the white matter. So it decussates in the grey matter, shimmies over, and then heads up, comes over to the lateral side in the white matter, and shoots up. Let's get this picture right as it can be. Right, up towards the medulla. And then let's say another signal comes in. So exactly the same thing. Comes in. So it's coming in cervically. Synapse. Boom. Synapse. Decussation. Whoop. Comes over into the lateral white matter and shoots up again. Bum. Okay. Heads up to the thalamus. The VPL, the ventroposterior-lateral part of the thalamus. What happens there? Boom! Another synapse. And then this shoots off to the somatosensory cortex. Somatosensory cortex. So the main difference here is where it decussates to. It decussates, it synapses and decussates at the same time as the anterior, but where does it go to? Out to the lateral side, lateral spinothalamic tract. Right, so again you can see these come in medially. The signals come in medially. Signals join medially. And what does the lateral tract, what is that sensation coming in? So that is pain and temperature. Okay, so pain and temperature. Temperature. So how do I remember this? Well, I think about a thorn in one side, thorn in my side. So lateral, the side, thorn, pain, ouch. And what do you get thorns on? Roses. Roses are hot. They are the flower of love. So that's your temperature. Everything's getting hot and spicy and painfully kinky. So that's pain and temperature. And how are you going to test this in clinic? This is going to be with the pinprick. So the pointy part of the Medipin. Have I left anything out? Anything important? Nope. There we go. That'll do. So that's your first order neuron. Comes in dorsally. Synapses, decussates, shoots over to the lateral part of the white matter. Heads north. Second order neuron. Whoosh all the way up. Things get added in medially. Hits the VPL of the thalamus. Boom, another synapse. And then the third order neuron heads off to the somatosensory cortex. And that is your lateral spinothalamic tract. Testing for, or receiving even, pain and temperature.